Hello there and welcome friends. As promised, I have another demon build guide here, and get ready because this one is going to be a blast. We have a demon Gendarme Cavalier, so focused on mounted combat. The special thing about this build is that it is actually my highest damage build so far, and by a massive amount. You can actually reach up to 40,000 damage. That's just against a single target. You can actually do a lot more in a single round, when considering all of the other enemies that you also get to hit. This is all because of the extreme synergy we have with mounted combat, pounce, and some of the demonic aspects, as I will show you here. It might not actually seem that way at the start when you look at the stats. We have good stats overall, but nothing really that special. That's because the true power only really comes during combat when under demonic rage, and aided by the demon aspects. So without further ado, let's get started. First with our build progression. To put it simply, we are going with Gendarme because of all of the extra feats that we get, and we can actually spend this in quite a lot of different stuff. It has amazing synergy with the Calavacus demonic rage aspect to grant your character a massive amount of free attacks whenever you charge at the enemy. Cavaliers are also amazing for charging, as they get Cavalier's charge, Mighty charge, that lets them make both a free bow rush and trip maneuver whenever they charge at the enemy. So even without pounce we are still getting some free attacks. And then their capstone ability, Transfixing charge, so that's 3 charge based boosts that they get just by their normal progression. And we certainly want to make use of that. Now I already have a guide explaining everything you need to know about mounted combat, how it works, why it's so powerful, how to properly use your charging mounted combat. So for this build in particular, I'll keep it simple. Just please be sure to check my mounted combat guide. The race is human as usual, for the extra feat and also the skill point, and then increasing any ability score of our choice. But Gendarmes do get a lot of extra feats, so if you want to play a different race, feel free to do so. Well, Pickpocket as a background. As for ability points, 19 strength, 12 dexterity, 14 constitution and 14 charisma. We do get a bit of charisma because it has synergy with some Cavalier abilities. But you can of course dump intelligence and wisdom and then increase your dexterity or constitution even higher. Or just ignore charisma. For skills you certainly want mobility, because of the synergy with mounted combat, the rest are up to you. And you can always go with use magic device if you want to use spell scrolls from other classes, divine scrolls or arcane scrolls, to further support your party. As by default this build will only be able to cast the demon spells. For our level 1 Gendarme Cavalier demon feats, the choice is simple. First, power attack. This is to increase our damage and later on also get access to cleave, and so because we can eventually multiply our charge damage by a lot, every extra source of damage that we can get is going to be very useful. Besides power attack, mounted combat, and as I've already explained in my mounted combat guide, you don't actually need this feat to ride your pets. The benefit you get is that first, it allows you to get the other mounted feats, and second, whenever your mount is hit in combat, once per round at least, you get to make a mobility check, and if you pass the attack roll of the enemy, you actually negate the attack. This is amazing for the early game, where enemies tend to have a low number of attacks per round, and your mount's hit points are also low, so we are getting it as soon as level 1. Be sure to pick the Order of the Cockatrice, because you gain the extremely overpowered Steel Glory ability at level 8. So whenever an ally scores a critical hit against the creature that you are threatening, your Cavalier gets to make a free attack of opportunity against the same target. Notice that there is no limit to this at all, and because, well, this build and all of my builds are completely focused on generating attacks of opportunity for your party, with Steel Glory you are basically drowning the enemy in attacks of opportunity. Choose your pet, we can only pick horse, which is just fine, and of course we're going with the black horse as we are an evil demon, for style points. For your last level 1 feat, since we have mounted combat, we can now get Spirited Charge. Spirited Charge is one of the best feats in the whole game, especially for mounted combat. Whenever you are mounted and use the charge action, you actually deal double physical damage with melee weapons. Even in the beginning of the game, this can already be of great benefit, because the enemies tend to have low hit points, and doubling your physical damage is amazing. The best part about this is how well it scales, because the more damage boosts we have, the higher our charge damage will become after we double it. Just by having a horse, mounted combat and then spirited charge, your Cavalier is already an amazing character as soon as level 1, so you can't really go wrong with this build. it can certainly make for a very smooth and fun early game experience as well. It's not just end game loaded. The deity choice is up to you, but remember that we do have to fall in the demon alignment range, so I would choose someone like Goron, and then go for any of the demon alignments. Goron just happens to have all of them. You can go with chaotic good, neutral or evil.
I am superior!
A fun fact about Order of Cockatrice is that we also gain Dazzling Display for free, which is great for later getting Shatter defenses. For level 3, pick Cleave for what's most likely going to be an extra attack per round. So long as you hit an enemy and have Cleave on, if there's another enemy nearby that you also threaten, you get a free hit against that enemy. So that's 2 attacks per round just at level 3. And also Cleaving Finish as your bonus Gendarme feat. With Cleaving Finish, whenever you kill the enemy, we get a free attack. So we have 3 potential attacks, even at the early levels. At level 4, increase strength, and this is also what we are going to increase on every other level. At level 5, pick combat reflexes to get started on our attack of opportunity boosting feats. At level 6, pick outflank. This is one of the best feats in the game, and it is a teamwork feat that can highly help you generate attacks of opportunity for your party. The best part is that as a mounted character, our horse pet can also get it, and because we will always be mounted on our horse, well, it is pretty much the same as always having your teamwork feats on, because your horse also has them, so you don't need to be near any other character. You and your horse are already a teamwork feat machine. For level 7, go with Shake It Off to increase your saving throws, and Cavaliers do have very low will. We really don't want the enemy affecting us with annoying will status ailments, effects like confusion, especially because we hit very hard and we don't want to hit our own allies. For level 9, pick Improved Critical, and my favorite weapon here for a Gendarme would be Falchion. You can also go with Fall Shard, but Fall Shards require exotic weapon proficiency, so you'll have to trade one of these feats for it. Falchions are just fine. They have amazing critical range, which is perfect for our charging. And for your bonus feat, seize the moment to finish our attack of opportunity feats. For level 11, go with Improved Initiative. It's always good to act before the enemy, and it's also great if you get to act before your horse to maximize your charge damage potential. This is also when we get the highly powerful Mighty Charge ability at level 11, which is perfect because it's also around this level that we gain the extremely cheesy aspect of Calavacus. So with Mighty Charge we actually get both a free bow rush and trip combat maneuver whenever we charge at the enemy. And with Calavacus, that's 2 free attacks we are getting. If we have pounds, well, multiply that by the number of attacks you have for a massive amount of free attacks, capable of destroying pretty much everything in the game. For a level 12 Gendarme bonus feat, go with Weapon Focus and then Falchion to increase our Falchion attack bonus. Now the main difference this build has over my other Cavalier build in my mounted combat guide is that that build was a Trickster, so at level 13 and up to 17 we picked the Trickster special critical feats. As a demon we don't have access to that, so the feats now will be different. For level 13, well, honestly the good thing is we already have the best of the melee feats by now. You can go with something like Indomitable Mount, but I don't find this really that useful. My mounts already have Shake It Off, and all of the buffs needed for them to make saving throws. For now I would pick Great Cleave, only so that we can later pick Improved Cleaving Finish, but it's not really needed because we have so many free attacks per round with the demon abilities. So you can also pick anything you want, like Dodge for more armor class, Toughness for more hit points, or even Skill Focus into something like Mobility for example, for the synergy with mounted combat. As for our level 15 feat, the choice is simple. Shatter defenses, because this is when our spellcasters get access to Frightful Aspect, which automatically shakens enemies nearby them for easy proccing of Shatter defenses, without needing to bother with using Dazzling Display. As for your bonus feat, Improved Cleaving Finish, as we did get Great Cleave before. Now level 17 is really your last level that will be different, as opposed to my Cavalier Trickster. And as I said before, the choice is really up to you. We already have the best feats by now. I mean, dodge won't matter that much because for mounted combat, our pet is the one who will be hit during battle with physical or ranged blows. Just to keep it simple, I'll go with toughness. I do enjoy having more hit points, especially on unfair where you take double damage. But it's not really that needed. You can go with trample. Honestly, you can even get started into the Vital Strike feat line, but I don't think it's needed, we already have a massive amount of attacks per round. Now, as far as your level 18 Gendarme bonus feat, I actually went with Hammer the Gap because I wanted to try it out with the Cavalier Charge and Kalavaku's ability, just to see if all of the extra attacks you were getting actually added up. For level 19, I went with Accomplished Sneak Attacker. By this point, we can already get the Baphomet skill book for free sneak attack. Lastly, at level 20, I actually went with Indomitable Mount, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, you can go with anything you want. And this is also when we get our ultimate charge ability, Transfixing Charge, for triple charge damage when combined with Spirited Charge, and this is why we deal such outstanding amounts of damage when charging. Alright, now let's talk about what's really different between my Cavalier Trickster and Demon builds, our Mythic Progression. For your first Ascension ability, pick Close to the Abyss to gain the Gore attack. As a Cavalier, you will be mounted on your horse, so you will be at melee range. For your first Mythic ability, Ever Ready, to enhance our attacks of opportunity. But if you are playing on, let's say, Unfair, you might consider picking Last Stand early because of how useful it can be. For Mythic Rank 2, go with Mythic Power Attack. I know I actually picked Improved Mythic Critical here, but I forgot, as a Gendarme we are only getting Mythic Critical at level 9, and you often get Mythic Rank 2 at level 8, so it won't be early enough. So pick Mythic Power Attack here at Gendarme Mythic Rank 2, and then pick Mythic Critical Falchion at Mythic Rank 4. Apologies for this mistake. For Mythic level 3, I would go with Mythic Charge, as we will soon be just charging, and as I said before, for Mythic Rank 4, Mythic Critical and then Falchion. Your first demonic aspect is a given, aspect of the Kalavakus of course, for the massive amount of free attacks we'll gain when charging, especially because as a Cavalier we don't really just charge, we also charge, and then bow rush, and then trip the enemy all in the same action, and because we charge and then disarm the enemy as well, well, we charge and get 3 whole attacks just from a single charge hit. And when you combine this with Pounce, well, let's just say you annihilate everything in just a single hit, as I've shown to you in my guide on how to beat the Skari as a demon character, and in that video I wasn't even a Cavalier, I was just a normal demon, so I didn't even have so many free attacks. For Mythic level 5, I would go with Mythical Beast to enhance the power of our horse pet, as this is a permanent passive boost to its physical scores. For another demonic aspect, go with Incubus because of the very high boost to damage. As for your first major aspect, well, Aspect of the Baylor is the best to share the rage for our party members. And also for the bonus to Constitution, and then Aspect of Avakia for the bonus to Strength. For Mythic rank 6, Mythic Improved Initiative. We actually want to act faster than our horse, so we can really get our big charge damage going. And then Aspect of Sheer for a bonus to attack rolls. But remember, you can only combine 3 minor aspects at Mythic rank 8. Before that, you only get Incubus and Kalavakus at the same time. And of course, if you want to benefit from the Aspect of Succubus immunity to compulsion effects for all your party members, you can also pick it instead of, let's say, Incubus or Sheer, and then combine it with Aspect of Kalavakus. By Mythic level 7 we already have the best abilities. As usual, I like to leave Inspirational Leader and Leading Strike to other characters like Scylla. So I'll pick Last Stand just to keep it safe. And then Aspect of Shadow Demon, but we won't really be using it. Your other demonic aspect, a minor one, can be anything. I'll go with Succubus. For Mythic level 8, we really already have the best ones by now. As far as Mythic Feats, Mythic Weapon Focus won't make that much of a difference. I would just go with Flawless Attacks, but you can also pick Mythic Toughness for even more hit points. Pick any other minor aspect, such as the ones focused on mobility, like Babau or Brimorak. Your level 9 Mythic ability can also be anything you want. I'll go with Always a Chance just because it's fun, you know, not having to miss on a 1 as far as attack rolls. But you can also go with Archmage Armor if you want more armor class and then use Mage Armor potions. Or even something like Unrelenting Assault for a minor boost to damage. But it doesn't really matter because we're just going to destroy everything with 1 charge attack. An Aspect of Brimorak here. As for Mythic level 10, well, I would go with Mythic Sneak Attacker. And for our final Demon Lord aspects, Aspect of Nocticula as usual, to share all of our rage powers. And lastly, Aspect of Pazuzu because of the free attack that stacks with haste. Alright, now let us talk about gear for our Demon Cavalier Gendarme. To keep it simple, we certainly want to access Magnifying Amulet for the Amulet slot, because of the great bonus to armor class and also a +2 untyped to our highest ability score, which is strength in this case for higher damage and attack bonus. For armor, you certainly should go with full plate, especially Mithril full plate, although our armor class doesn't really matter that much, because our horse is the one who will be targeted by physical and ranged melee blows. The only way our Cavalier character is getting hit in mounted combat is by enemy attacks of opportunity, and for that you have defensive demon spells such as Mirror Image to highly reduce your chances of being hit even then. The belt slot, I really like Mangling Frenzy because of the synergy with Demonic Rage and giving us a lot of extra damage for d6 on critical hits. But besides that, you can also use belts with high strength and constitution enchantments. The maximum have both +6 constitution and strength. For gloves, go with Fencer's Gift to increase our two-handed damage. But in the end game you can also use Aurelius gloves, and I have a video on how to find it, as it can be easy to miss, that gives +3 luck to all your saving throws and also your armor class. For boots, go with Runic Sacrifice without a doubt, for the massive increase to dexterity, the extra bonuses added to haste, and even the skill point boost to mobility and athletics. Now you can also go with the boots of Stampede, because of the very high extra damage added to our charge attacks. For helmets, be sure to go with Shy Lily. The +4 profane bonus to strength and +2 to armor class are amazing, and you can't really replace this with anything else. Cloaks of Resistance with the highest modifier as usual to increase our saving throws. The Ring of Guiding Star for a bonus to initiative. We do have very high initiative even as a Gendarme Cavalier, +37 here. The Ring of Evasion to reduce the chances of our character being hit with area of effect spells that have a reflex save. For the braces, I really like braces of Abrupt Onslaught because of the extra sneak attack damage, and in the end game we can certainly gain sneak attack by just reading Baphomet the Uncaged book that you can find at the Ineluctable Prison area during chapter 5, so we do gain sneak attack for free, but of course it's only at the late game. Lastly, for weapons, well, I already have a guide talking about the best falchions that you can check, linked to the site here or in the video description, but we go with falchions because of the extreme critical range, for even more damage and attacks of opportunity. Finion is always a solid choice, from the beginning of the game with his normal +1 version, to the mid game with his +3 version, and then the late game with the ultimate +5 version because of how amazing Brilliant Energy is on any weapon, as it does let you bypass up to -9 armor class from any enemy, even on unfair. As far as your quick slots, well, we do have Jarsegax, the Dragon Familiar, to give you a little bit elemental damage, but because we don't really have another source of elemental damage, there's no point in picking Elemental Barrage for this build. And also the lucky dice from Cherusina at the Dresden Siege, for the luck bonus to either attack, damage or armor class, that lasts for a whole day. You can also use Quicken Metamagic Rods in order to cast your demon spells, especially your demon buffs, as a swift action. And lastly, extend Metamagic Rods to further increase the duration of your demon buffs, especially for when your caster level as a demon isn't high, so during the mid game in chapter 3. Now as far as our Demon Cavalier in action, we have both our enlarged horse and enlarged demon character, so we can be a true harbinger of death here. We have of course to turn Demonic Rage on first, with the aspect of Calavacus, Shear for higher charge damage, Baylor, and then Incubus. And let's have our demon character charge at the Baylor here, to see how high our damage can go. Don't forget to use Challenge, and also Moment of Triumph. Now of course you don't have to be enlarged, you can do it with just a normal size horse and demon character. Enlarged does increase your damage a little further, but it doesn't matter because we do so much damage by default, it's just for fun here. So let's charge at the Baylor now. Just look at that. We actually dealt so much damage that the game stopped to a crawl from all of the number of attacks that we got on the poor Baylor. Oh man, just look at this. This is all because of the free attacks we get with Charge, Bounce, and the aspect of the Calavacus, and also the Charge ability from Cavalier that gives you a free combat maneuver, Bull Rush, and Trip Attempt. It's crazy, really. That's more than what? I don't even know, it's more than 9,000 damage, really. I don't... Perhaps 10,000 damage? Let's see. How many stacks of absurd damage we get? Oh, and I actually forgot to use fortune hacks, so I could do a lot more criticals. Anyways, another here, that's 4 stacks. 5 stacks, 6 stacks. 7 stacks. 8 stacks. 9 stacks. 10 stacks. Oh man. 11, 12. So yeah, you could certainly say we dealt more than what, 15,000 damage in just one attack? So there you go, Demon Cavalier, probably the highest damage you can do with just a single action. And because we also get Cleaving Finish, and you know we can actually hit enemies nearby. So as I said, everything you cast this on will just be deleted, destroyed utterly and completely. Nothing in the game can survive so much damage at the same time. Honestly, even just 2 stacks of this, so 3,500 damage is enough to kill anything, even on unfair. Never mind 15,000 damage. Still very fun, right? And this is why I have chosen to show you this Demon Cavalier build. I hope you enjoy it. And you know, we actually keep on attacking. This is just from the same action. Just look at that. It's so many attacks that our game actually slows down to a crawl again. Just look at this. All of this from our single charge with our Demon Cavalier. It's a pity I forgot to get fortune hacks because we could have way higher damage. Although it's certainly overkill.
I'm superior!
He truly is superior, right? So let us do it again now, but with fortune hacks so at full power, because come on, this is too good not to try again. The game even slows down again because of all of the damage we're dealing. Look at that. Just goes on and on. So all of these is just against the same Baylor. We got a lot more critical hits because of fortune hacks too. Look at that. Right, so I honestly really want to add up to see how much damage we dealt. The first hit was 2,350. Alright, so I did the math and the final result was actually 40,875 damage just against this poor Baylor from our charge attack. Now if you don't believe me, just check the log. Look at how many stacks of damage, including more than 1,700 damage we get against the Baylor. That's quite a lot. To put it simply, the poor Baylor was annihilated so badly that I don't even know. He probably devolved into a dredge. That's how hard we killed this Baylor. So if you want to know what's the highest damage built in the game, well, I'm guessing it's a Demon Cavalier.
Next!
I mean, just look at this against the succubus enemies here. How can you compete with that from just a single charge? Now, I know you might say, well, this is just at the late game, and not really. You know, mounted combat is something that is very strong. As early as level 1, if you have a pet that you can ride, like the horse. Spirited charge alone, which we get at level 1, it doesn't get any earlier than that, already lets you deal double physical damage when charging, which is great for the early game, because the enemies, well, you won't be dealing more than 1,000 damage with this build at the beginning of the game, like all other builds, but the enemies, the early and mid-game enemies, they don't have such high hit point scores anyways. You're still easily able to defeat them. And Cavaliers also increase the power of their charge very early. At level 3 you already get Cavalier's charge to double your attack bonus on charging. Even without charging, this build is still very powerful, because we do still have access to all of the powerful teamwork feats to generate a massive amount of attacks of opportunity for our party. And you even gain the Steel Glory ability at level 8, so this build can actually have more attacks of opportunity than the norm. As I've explained to you in my mounted combat guide, even just having a pet like a horse at the beginning of the game can already make a massive difference, because the horse does come with 3 whole attacks per round, and can also reliably tank for you. Now as for how to play with this build, well, it is very simple. Cavaliers are pretty much an auto-attack build at its core, just like fighters and so on. All you have to do is select your character, mount your horse, and you get to do this as soon as level 1. Be sure to actually buff your horse's armor class, as I have already explained to you in my pet guide, because your horse is basically not only your guardian but also your shield. All of the enemies' ranged and physical blows will target the horse's armor class instead of your cavaliers, so we do want our horse to have as high armor class as possible. Besides that, after you get it, remember to use the challenge ability against troublesome foes to highly increase your damage, and later on Moment of Triumph as well, but this has very limited uses. As far as combat, honestly, just charge at the enemy, it's that simple. Select charge and go to town. Remember, I already have a guide explaining how to properly use charge, so that you can actually use it outside of battle, for a guarantee that your character is going to easily charge at the enemy without being blocked by objects and other characters on the way. This also can grant you a free attack, so it's always amazing. And lastly, before I end this guide, just some considerations on the build viability through later patches and so on. I mean, it's always a possibility that they change how aspect of Calavacus works, but I don't think this is going to change the build's power at all. I mean, we do so much damage that even if they add a limit to Calavacus, like let's say it can only add a single extra attack, we are still going to do enough damage to destroy anything in the game, even on unfair. So what if we don't deal 40,000 damage and we now deal only 3,000 damage? That's still enough to, destroy everything, regardless. Well, so this was it everyone for my Demon Cavalier guide. That is sure to break your game apart because of how many attacks you're getting per round, to the point the game slows down your crawl in order to account for all of the attacks you are demolishing the enemies with. I hope this video proved useful to you and served as another way to show you how very powerful not only mounted combat, but also the Demon Mythic path can be as a whole. If you've enjoyed this video, then please remember to support the channel if you can, by liking, subscribing and even becoming a member to access some exclusive perks. Thank you for watching and see you next time, friends.